Well, they did it. They found him guilty. I got to admit, I thought there'd be at least one holdout and we might get a hung jury, but it was pretty much inevitable that from the beginning, the way this thing was set up, it was already predetermined to find Trump guilty. In fact, the closing instructions that the Judge Munchkin, gave to the jury before sending them off to deliberate was basically find a crime. Even told them, you don't have to have a unanimous decision on this. That's like a first a jury's ever been told. But basically, go find a crime. Because the prosecution didn't actually state exactly what it was they wanted them to find Donald Trump guilty on until their closing argument, after the defense had already given their statement and then was not allowed to rebut anything that the prosecution said in their closing statement. That what Donald Trump did tantamount was an election issue, despite the fact that the Federal Commission on Elections, they knew all this. This evidence was presented to them 4 years ago. They didn't deal with it. The feds had all this information during the 2016 election. They didn't want to touch it. This was Joe Biden. The only thing he has is to try to stop Donald Trump because he can't beat him. The economy is gone. The border is gone. He has lost the American people. He is the single most ineffective, horrid president ever. And I don't even talk about a Jimmy Carter or even a James Buchanan, those of you that know your American history. Joe Biden is absolutely beyond pathetic. Pandering for black votes in Philadelphia, he couldn't draw 200 people. Promising them if he's reelected, he will make sure that nothing but progressives will make it to the Supreme Court. See, this again just shows you how absolutely, completely out of touch he is with people. In particular, the black community. The black community is not into all of this new progressive wokeism. Why do you think they are leaving Joe Biden by the droves and moving to a guy like Donald Trump? They look at a guy like Donald Trump and say, you know what, I may not like everything he says. I may not agree with him on everything, but the economy worked. He put the country first. He made sure our borders were secure, and he basically stayed out of our way and let us live our lives. Boom, shakalaka boom. So here's the thing. Some people are saying, all right, we knew this was going to happen, but don't worry, Trump's going to appeal, and no matter what happens, they're not going to put Trump in jail. These are low-level crimes. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that, because the sentencing is going to be July the 11th, I believe. That's just a few days before the Republican National Convention. I heard Bill O'Reilly say a little while ago that the whole reason that this sentencing is going to take place so far down the road is this judge knows he's backed himself into a corner, and you know he could have sentenced Donald Trump tomorrow, but he's throwing this off till July because even he doesn't know what to do now. Bullhawk. They know exactly what they're doing. This has all been designed to keep Donald Trump off the campaign trail. It has backfired brilliantly. Polling indicates that none of this has eroded any support away from Donald Trump, and it hasn't dissuaded or persuaded anyone in any direction or the other. If he's found guilty, I won't vote for him. If he's not found guilty, I will vote for him. It hasn't moved the polling needle on any of that in any direction. Now, Joe Biden could actually turn around his poll numbers like that. All he has to do is come out and pardon Donald Trump. He's not going to. And at the same time, he could go ahead and pardon Hunter. And then his case could be to the American people, enough. Enough of this weaponization of the justice system to go after political opponents and their families. And, just we're not a third world banana republic here. Enough of all of this. Just enough. It would jack Biden's poll numbers. He's not going to, because Joe Biden's not going to play the long game here. He's playing the short game. And the short game is he thinks this is his strategy to win. and he wants to hang on to that Oval Office. Mr. De Niro, when you were out there making your Donald Trump will never leave office. No, it's Joe Biden who will never leave office. His own party can't get him to step aside so that somebody younger and with, maybe some intact mental capacities would step in. So it's Joe Biden who doesn't want to leave. So there you have it. This whole thing has been a fiasco. Now let me tell you this: Trump team will appeal. I'm sure the appellate division in New York is not going to overturn the judge. It will make its way up to the New York State Supreme Court. There's a little hope there. They overturned the Epstein verdict. Basically saying that the prosecution way overstepped their boundaries. So there's a couple grounds for appeal, especially on things that the judge did. He was extremely prejudicial against the defendant. I mean, they got nothing ruled in their favor, and it's usually the standard. And there's a section of law, and I want to say it's 403, where judges, in determining what evidence is allowed and not allowed, there's guidelines that are given in something called Section 403, which basically tells a judge nothing prejudicial against the defendant. So, letting Stormy Daniels get up there for, days on end and go into detail about a sexual exploit with Donald Trump had nothing to do with falsifying business records. That's prejudicial evidence designed to inflame the jury with a bunch of sensational bullhock that had absolutely nothing to do with the charges. So there's that. There is also the fact that most judges give the defense a lot of leeway in the witnesses they want to bring forward to try to prove the innocence of their client. And Judge Munchkin did none of that. Donald Trump's defense team wanted to bring in experts on federal election law to explain to the jury that nothing that Donald Trump did in giving Stormy Daniels hush money mounted to election interference. It was not a violation of election law. The jury never got to hear those experts. And those experts were all over the TV trying to explain what Alvin Braggart is trying to form into a case against Donald Trump is there's no there. And of course, Alvin Bragg is taking his victory lap, and Joe Biden, instead of extending, a pardon to Donald Trump, today, from the Oval Office, condemned Donald Trump that he's a convicted felon. You're going to look awful stupid if that does get overturned on appeal. Now, the reality is these 34 counts, this is low-level, what we call white-collar crime stuff. There's never any jail time. But then again, this is Donald Trump we're talking about, and a justice system that is not set on doing justice, but rather doing a hit. So he could see jail time right before the GOP convention. My, oh my, is that a coincidence? I rather think not. They know that in a straight-up election, Joe Biden cannot beat Donald Trump. If Biden were to come out and pardon him, not only would his own poll numbers go up, but when they face off in their first debate, Joe Biden wants to be able to just keep reminding the American people, he's a felon. Now, see, if he pardoned him, the first time Donald Trump went at Joe a little bit in the debate, Joe could actually spin it in his favor and garner support by having a sense of humor, saying, gee, try to do a guy a solid. This is how he treats me. So we knew this was going to happen. It's sad that it went down this way. It's tragic that it went down this way. But this is the reality of what we're dealing with. And I believe it will not, as far as polling and support, it is not in any way going to hurt Donald Trump. Are they going to try to jail him? Well, considering the other cases are not going to make it to trial before the election, my bet is they're going to try to figure out a way to incarcerate the president. That said, I personally think then it immediately, we circumvent the whole appeals process and everything else, and it immediately, the Supreme Court steps in and says, okay, timeout. You cannot do this to a presidential contender over a white-collar crime. Because this really isn't about jailing Donald Trump as much as it's about jailing Donald Trump's campaign. Waste his time and waste his money. And give Joe Biden something to frame TV commercials around. A convicted felon. So that's where we are. Thought I'd jump on here tonight and just opine with you for a few minutes. It's obvious I'm away with family right now, but I wanted to bring you up to speed. Make sure that you are a subscriber to the channel. Please smack the bell, click the word all. That'll give you notification of my rants, my ravings, and my undeniably flawless reasonings. Please like and share this video. That's how we get the word out that we're here.